guys, welcome to the channel. This is Suzanne and today we are talking about one of our favourite authors, J.R. Ward. So J.R. Ward has loads of series, some are connected to others, and we thought it'd be a really great time to do a author guide to let you know where to start, where you should start reading a companion series, to generally just give you an idea of where to go. So I'm going to be doing her paranormal romance series, and then we're going to switch over to Francesca, who is going to talk about her contemporary romance series. So to begin, let's talk about her paranormal romances. So Ward is probably most broadly known for her paranormal series, The Black Dagger Brotherhood, about a group of vampire warriors who do their best to protect their race from the bad guys known as the Lessers, who want to kill off the vampire race. All this is done underneath humans' noses, and one of their prime directives for both the bad guys and for our Black Dagger Brotherhood warriors is that humans cannot know what is going on. As soon as they do, they either have to have their mind wiped or they are killed. So there's a lot of books in this series, and there are some like series that run alongside it, and I basically wanted to go through where the best place to start is, where are the best place to start within the Black Dagger Brotherhood series is for the other series that she's written, and generally just give you a guide. So the place where you absolutely have to start is Dark Lover, which is the first in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. There is a Black Dagger Legacy series which also has a book number 1 in it. Do not start with that book. To understand what's going on in there, to know what's going on with some of the characters, you need to have read the Black Dagger Brotherhood. So although it says that it's a standalone series, it very much isn't. It has to be read as part of this series, otherwise you will find it really hard to understand what is going on, who all these characters are. It assumes a lot of knowledge of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, so absolutely do not start with the Black Dagger Legacy series. You absolutely have to start with Dark Lover and then make your way towards the Black Dagger Legacy series. So now, where to start the Black Dagger Legacy series? You have to get all the way to book number 13, The Shadows. You need to read The Shadows, and once you've read that, you can then start the Black Dagger Legacy series. So the first book in that series is Blood Kiss. So once you've read The Shadows, you can then read Blood Kiss. But don't go straight to the next Black Dagger Legacy series. You then need to read The Beast, which is book number 14 in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. And then you can read Blood Vial, which is number 2 in the Black Dagger Legacy series. And then you can go on to The Chosen, which is the next book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. And then you can go for book number 3 in the Black Dagger Legacy series, which is Blood Fury. And then you need to read the next 2 Black Dagger Brotherhood books, which is The Thief and the latest release, The Saviour. Then we're on to the new release of The Blood Truth, which is out this week, possibly today, depending on when we put out this video. So there is an order that it needs to be read in. It's the order that it was published in. These books cannot stand alone. The Legacy series does need to be read alongside the Brotherhood series. The Legacy series itself has more of a new adult edge because it's younger vampires just coming in to do the training to join the Black Dagger Brotherhood to become soldiers in the war. So the books do have a different feel to the Black Dagger Brotherhood, but you'll find that there's 2 stories within a Legacy book. You'll have the HEA story, the love story between our 2 younger characters, but then you also have a very strong, and when I say very strong, I must mean about 50% of the book is taken up with a secondary story which focuses on one of the older couples. So if you haven't read about the older couples, you'll be like, who are these guys? Where did they come from? It assumes a lot of knowledge about how they got together and what their relationship's like, and all the interpersonal connections that have been made throughout this very long series. So you have to read in order, otherwise you are going to miss out on quite a lot of the subtext and find it really hard to read. So that covers the Black Dagger Brotherhood series and the Black Dagger Legacy series. I'm going to go through it again. I'm sorry, I am going to have to read it off because it's hard to remember it by heart. So you read book 1 to 13 of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Book 13 is The Shadows. Sorry, this is where I get to read it off. And then this is the order in which you need to read. So The Shadows, Blood Kiss, The Beast, Blood Vow, The Chosen, Blood Fury, The Thief, The Saviour, and then Blood Truth. So that is the order in which you need to read that part of the series. Now let's talk about another paranormal slash urban fantasy series that J.R. Ward released in the 2000s, and that is the Fallen Angel series. It's set in the same world as the Black Dagger Brotherhood, and we do get a few almost like cameo appearances from people within the Brotherhood, especially within the first few books. However, the stories aren't really connected, so you can read it separately until we get to The Saviour, which is the most recent release. And I would say if you're going to read the Fallen Angel series, and I do recommend that you do because it is an absolutely fabulous series, then you need to read it before you read The Saviour. There are things that happen in The Saviour that connect with the things that happen in the Fallen Angel series, and I believe characters from the Fallen Angel series are now going to come in to the Black Dagger Brotherhood slash Legacy series. So although you don't really need to read it until you get to The Saviour, read it at any point, it doesn't really matter. As soon as you get to The Saviour, you'll see what I mean when I say that it's connected. It's a great series. There is a romance in each book, but it has a storyline that goes across all of it and characters that go across all of it who do not have their happily ever after until the end of the last book. It's a great series. It's a fabulous mix of that urban fantasy feeling and also the satisfaction of having a HEA at the end of each book. So that is what I recommend. So remember, always start with Dark Lover. Then once you get towards the end of the series, you can then start the Black Dagger Legacy series, and then at any point throughout the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, but before you read The Saviour, which is the most recent release, then you need to pick up Covert, which is the first book in the Fallen Angel series, and read that through. I don't think it will be necessary to understand what's happening with the storyline in the Black Dagger Brotherhood, right? But I don't know because I haven't read what comes after The Saviour, but I would say it's worth reading it through so that you can see what we're up against. Anyway, that covers the paranormal romance side of J.R. Ward's books, and now we're going to go over to the lovely Francesca, who is going to go over her contemporary romances.
Hey guys, it's Francesca, and now it's my turn to talk to you guys about J.R. Ward's contemporary romances. So before she wrote as J.R. Ward and before the Black Dagger Brotherhood, she was writing as Jessica Bird, and those were regular straight contemporary romances. So I have read quite a few of those, and I will be talking about some of those here. The first two are actually standalone novels. The first one is her first debut novel, which is Leaping Hearts. In this novel, the heroine buys a stallion that nobody can ride, and she decides to ask for help from our hero, who is grumpy and recluse. He is an equestrian legend, and he has a bad leg. It's not quite a cowboy romance, but it does have that small town and kind of farm feel to it, which I really enjoyed. This is definitely a story full of heart, full of hardships. It's about following your dreams and not holding back. Our heroine actually wants to ride the stallion for show jumping, and it's also a story of forced proximity as the heroine has to live with the hero. Her second contemporary romance was actually Heart of Gold, and this is also a standalone novel. It has a hero that is a young, rich, grouchy guy, and he actually owns a property that he's had a lot of people ask him to let them dig. Archaeologists were asking to let them dig because it's supposed to have a lot of gold. And he's always said no until our heroine comes. She's an archaeologist. She wants to solve this centuries-old mystery and, of course, find gold. And he agrees to let her start digging. I did enjoy this one a little bit less than Leaping Hearts, but it was still a cute, very light-hearted and fluffy contemporary romance. The next one is the Unforgettable Lady series. It has two books. The first one is An Unforgettable Lady, and the second book is An Irresistible Bachelor. These are a little bit more romantic suspense in feel. I have not read these books. In this one, our heroine is a society woman. She's living in Manhattan, and a lot of women in Manhattan are turning up dead. The hero is a security specialist, and he comes in to work as her bodyguard. Up next is a series that I actually quite enjoyed. It's more very light, fluffy, small town contemporary romance, and it's the Morehouse Legacy series. And these are all still her writing as Jessica Bird titles. So in the Morehouse Legacy, there are actually 4 books. I have 2 here, The Rebel and The Player, and then there's also The Renegade and The Rogue. These are definitely a lot more laid back than what you guys would be used to from J.R. Ward's books. Now, the thing that I find that all her Jessica Bird titles would have in common with the J.R. Ward writing style is more of always writing about people that have certain level of wealth, alpha, maybe sometimes grouchy heroes, and definitely lots of tortured heroes as well. And while I have read and can recommend the Morehouse Legacy, there are also a couple other standalone titles that she wrote as Jessica Bird that I have not read yet. The first one being The Billionaire, Until You're Mine, Me Without You, and The Perfect Distraction. So basically all of her titles that she wrote as Jessica Bird, I think you can totally read them as standalones. I think that there is a little bit of a connection in terms of the setting, but I was never one to read them too close together, so I haven't been able to piece that yet, although I have heard people say that there is a very small thread of connection between them. I definitely need to say that if you're going to pick up one of her titles writing as Jessica Bird, do not go into it expecting the same writing style that you would be used to from one of the, say, Black Dagger Brotherhood books. There are no multiple points of view. It's a very straightforward contemporary romance. I think that from those days you can really see how her writing style has grown, but that still doesn't mean that they're not enjoyable, and I actually think all her titles that she wrote as Jessica Bird are perfect summer reads as well. And now we're going to move into her contemporary romances that she's actually written as J.R. Ward. So these are her more recent contemporary romances, and I'm going to start out with a trilogy, and it's the Bourbon Kings trilogy. This is a finished trilogy. I would say that this is perfect for fans of soap operas. If you're not into that over-the-top angst and drama that you would find in a soap opera, you would probably not enjoy this series. However, I like soap operas, I like all that drama, and I really enjoyed this series. You definitely have to read them in order, although there is sort of an HA for each one of the books, but they are totally intertwined, so definitely read these in order. Starting out with The Bourbon King. Second is The Angel's Share, and last, Devil's Cut, which is actually my favorite in the series. The Bourbon Kings trilogy is not connected to anything else, so you can just read those 3 and be done. And now we're going to move on to her most recent contemporary romance release, and it's actually the series that she's writing in contemporary romance, and that is Consumed, which is book number 1 in the Firefighter series. Now, before reading this book, you can read a series of 3 novellas, which I believe are still free. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to read them. This book does start out with our main hero and heroine having already sort of been dating a little bit, so if you read the novellas you sort of see where that is coming from, but I actually read this without reading those novellas and I didn't feel like I was lost at any point, so it's up to you whether you pick those up before this or not. This series is definitely a lot more gritty and intense, especially if you compare it to the over-the-top and maybe a little bit of humor from the Bourbon King series. I think it is the one that mixes a little bit more of the Black Dagger Brotherhood flair to their characters, and it brings that intense and a little bit dangerous plot to a contemporary romance setting. Plus, I also think that it does firefighters really well and in a realistic way. And that's all I have for you guys today with the contemporary romances from J.R. Ward. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you have any questions about any of the books that we've talked about, or if you have any other questions that we didn't address in terms of what's related to what and what needs to be read before what, just leave them down in the comments below and hopefully we'll be able to answer them for you. I am curious to see how many of you guys have read her contemporary romances, so please leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've tried them out, which ones are actually still on your TBR. And of course, as you've probably already heard, Blood Truth is out this week, which is book 4 in the Legacy series, so be sure to pick it up. We have an excerpt on the blog, which I will leave linked in the information box down below, as well as Annie's review for Blood Truth that's up on the blog as well. Don't forget to visit us at underthecoversbookblog.com and all our social media channels. Everything will be linked in the information box down below. Like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our videos. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you again in the next one. Bye!